So tree maps do keep things sorted by key, hash maps do not. Here I mentioned the idea of a parallel array. You could associate IDs with names. So we declare two arrays, one called ID and one called name. And they're linked thematically by the index number. Then if you wanted to print them out, you'd use a for loop. Or another example, rainfall in months. Index number 0 is January, and I had a rainfall of 1. Index number is 1, So we understand parallel arrays. Treemap, you define it and you specify two different key types. And again, they need to be reference types. They can't be primitive data types. So let's pop open NetBeans. Make a car map that has model and color. So tree map, and I need two types. I think they're both going to be strings, like Chevy and Toyota, or that's kind of vague, just calling it a Chevy, but whatever. So tree map of string comma string, the first one being the key, the second one being the value. Now let's give it a name. Cars is equal to new tree map. Can I do it like that? I'm going to have to add the import for Treemap. All right, that actually worked. And instead of .add, it's called .put. So let's put several cars. Cars.put. VW bug is going to be yellow. Why am I capitalizing everything? I don't know. Cars.put. DeLorean is of course going to be silver. Did they make any other colors? I don't know. And somebody give me another car. I should have made the VW bug white like Herbie the Love Bug, but okay. Anybody got anything else?
A Porsche.
Yeah, what color should our Porsche be?
Red.
Of course. I was going to say that. Alrighty. Good enough. Now we want to look these up and find out what color the DeLorean is. Realistically, we should use a scanner. We should ask them for the name of the car, you know, that kind of stuff. But let's just declare a string and call it which and then fill it in with one of these. I want to find out what color my DeLorean is. Now, it turns out there's more than one way to do this, but I'm going to just go with this one. If you want to look up something, if you try to access it with .get and it doesn't exist, it's going to throw an exception. But we're pretty sure that this exists right now, so let's ignore that exception for now. So we're going to say string color is equal to cars.get, so get the color for the DeLorean. Now let's just print those two things out. Print line, which, plus a space, plus a color. And hopefully it'll say DeLorean silver. All right, that worked. If we change DeLorean to VW bug, I hope it says that it's a yellow bug. Yes. So we have a data structure which lets us look it up by key and by value. I had that question about which one it returns if you have the same key for more than one item. So let's add two DeLoreans. Let's add a second DeLorean. I'm just going to copy that line, paste it. We also have a black one. I bet it's going to say silver.
Huh.
Oh, it said black. What do you know?
Must be the last value then.
Yeah. It's either the last value or it's indeterminate and you don't know which one. That's a little bit of area for research. But you get the basic idea. It's an association of values and keys. And you can actually look things up by the values as well as keys. There is a form of .get, like if you want to find out which car is red, it looks it up by the value. Let's see if we can find that one. Which is equal to cars dot I'm not spotting it now. May have to ignore this. Yeah, I'm not finding a find by value anymore. But if we look, there's all sorts of things. Merge two lists or two hash maps. Clone it. Clone means make a brand new object and reallocate memory for each object contained within it. Why do you do that? Because otherwise you could wind up with two structures that all pointed to the same data elements. And if you changed it in one place, you'd change it for the other one without even knowing it. Replace and remove. You want to remove an object from it? I wonder why, if we have to call both remove key and value. Let's find out. Let's try to delete the Porsche. So cars.remove, parentheses, come on, Porsche. Let's see if that gives us a syntax error, if it actually works. All right, now that it's removed, if we try to get the Porsche, it should not work. Color is equal to cars dot get Porsche, and then print the color out. I should have done the same thing that I did before. You know, which, throw it into a which variable. But anyway, system.out.println Porsche plus the color. And what we're going to see is that this will fail in a way that we don't like. Well, I guess that's not too bad. Null.
We still have a Porsche. We just don't know what color it is.
So we could put an if statement in front of it. If color equals or not equals null, then go ahead and print it out. Else, print out no Porsche. But there's another way to do it. Dot contains. It searches it to see if it's in there. So if cars dot contains key I really needed to store Porsche in its own variable name now that I've typed it for about the 4th time. System.out.println. Yep, we found the Porsche, but we know it's not in there. So let's throw an else in. System.out.println. Nope. Didn't find the Porsche. Which makes sense. No Porsche was found. I'm going to comment out the dot remove appear so that I can see both of those pieces of code actually work. Bless you. And in this case, it did find the red Porsche. Yep, we found a Porsche. So I was under the mistaken impression that you actually had to call contains key before you called .get. But .get returns a null. That's clean. I will never use .contains again. Contains can also be used to look it up by value. You want to see if anything's got the color red. If cars contains yellow. Let's do that. But instead of contains key, it's going to be contains value. Now what mystifies me about this is that if it can search and find that yellow item, why can't it return? There has to be a way to do that. But anyways, let's do system.out.println found a yellow item. Found a yellow car. Very good. I'm going to change the name of this yellow to something that won't find, lowercase yellows, because I want to see it say not found. Well, I have no else clause, but it did not say found a yellow car when I changed it to lowercase. So, if it can do that, it ought to be able to return the value, or return the key that matches that. Let's find out how to do that. Treemap return key for a specified value. Note there's no single corresponding key. There may be multiple keys. That's true.
Yeah.
All right, what it's saying here is that once it finds out that it's there, you should use a loop to print them all out to find it. If it's a one-to-one relationship, you can still do some trickery to get it. Meh. What they're doing is they're looping through the entire loop looking to find the first one that has that value. Just like in our routines that we wrote that searches a string for a specific value or searches an array for a specific value, they're doing that. Let's just pretend that it's not super easy to find the key based on the value. Okay, so our other question was insert into hash table with duplicate keys the behavior.
Yeah.
What happens when a duplicate key is put in? By definition, .put replaces the previous value. So you can only have one Porsche or one VW Bug. If you call .put and it matches the value, then it replaces the old one, which is why when we added the black DeLorean, it made it black.
Right.
Okay. In that case, it makes sense why there is no get by value. Because it would need to return either nothing if it doesn't find it or a possible list of items if it did. All right, now let's iterate through the list. The syntax for iterating through the list, if you were watching me hit Stack Overflow, is actually not too nice. Did I not put the syntax for iterating through it? Well, fine then. Here it is. Excuse me while I stare at the syntax uno momento. Alrighty, for parentheses map dot entry parentheses angle brace string comma string, because that's what our map is made out of. Then we have to give it a type because this is a for each loop. I'm just going to call it E for entry. In our cars dot entry set, it's going to complain about the keyword map, or excuse me, the class name map, so we have to add the import for that. So what this does is it steps through the hash table item by item, putting each one into element E, and E is of type map.entry. So once we have it, we ought to be able to get the car type. String car type is equal to element dot. Now, were our car types the keys or the values?
Type is the key.
Right. So we're going to call entry.getKey. And then car color is equal to E.getValue, capitalize V. Then we can just print them out. System.out.printf %10s space %10s /n car type excuse me, and car value, car color. I capitalized one and not the other, just make yours consistent.
I have an error on my for each line.
All right.
I'm not sure what the problem is.
Is it just that we did not add the import?
No, I added that.
Okay.
It says it's expected a semicolon.
Remove the parentheses after the E.
Right, that's good.
There we go. Oops. So we could write an application where we asked for the car type, and it would tell us if that car existed in our little mini database or not. But we already know that we can, so we're not going to do that today. Let's go ahead and upload this. I did not make an assignment yet based on this concept. Please watch the video. I'm also going to put a comment, go to read this website about. If you notice that this was sorted when we ran it, it was sorted alphabetically, but if we did a hash table rather than, excuse me, if we did a hash map rather than a tree map, then it would not have been sorted. Tree indicates that it is sorted. Hash means that it is not. Otherwise, they are identical. Where's my recorder? Oh, there he is. Okay, derp. All righty. So there is some homework though. Please watch this video tutorial and work along with it. If I recall, it involves using some of the special features. I know you're an Eclipse user and you're not going to want to do NetBeans, so if you just want to say I watched it but I didn't work along, then I'll put a note to that effect. Otherwise, go ahead and follow along with it. It just shows you some of the shortcuts you could use. Some of the nice features, like how you could move things into a into a method just by highlighting it all and using a refactor menu and stuff like that. So if we could get that done by Tuesday night, that would be awesome.